Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Adams Brothers Podcast. Happy Monday to each and every last one of you watching in Facebook and YouTube land out there. If you're having a wonderful, wonderful Monday, welcome back to the Adams Brothers Podcast. We're joined here this evening with Miss Sarahca Peterson. You all know her. You see her on social media. She's very, very involved in the community down in Pompano. And she's trying to do her best to help the community in the city of Pompano move forward in a positive direction. Miss Sarahca Peterson, she's joining us here again on our podcast. Thank you, Miss Sarahca Peterson, for joining us here on the Adams Brothers Podcast.
Thank you, gentlemen, for having me. I always like coming to hang with y'all.
Definitely,
and we
love your company. That's right.
We love talking to you as well.
That's right.
Yeah, we love talking to you. So, like we were talking off air the last time we saw you here on the podcast, it was not a good time. So again, we want to say it live to while we're on live, our condolences out to your family, and we're going to continue to send continuous prayers to you,
right.
You and your family.
Extending it out now.
Extending it out to you right now. So,
thank you.
Sending those prayers up, and the blessings will come back down.
Yeah, so, that's what they say.
Yeah, that's what they say. That's what they say. So we're going to be talking about the redevelopment that's going on in Pompano and how it affects the surrounding community, which will in Pompano and here in Deerfield, that would be the Black community.
Mm-hmm.
The redevelopment over at Pioneer Grove here in Deerfield Beach,
which is slated to start
right.
at some point here in Deerfield,
and Dixie Highway, which Dixie Highway runs through Pompano. So it affects the Black neighborhood just like it does in Pompano. So I know you have I think it's a $2 or $3 billion redevelopment project going on there in Pompano.
$2 billion.
$2 billion.
$2 billion.
Okay, tell us in your words, and from what you know, what is it in it for? The district, I'm not sure what district that is that surrounds the EPAC Larkins Community Center. What's in it for the community there in Pompano?
So the downtown project is a $2 billion project. It is slated to begin possibly breaking ground next year. The project is going to affect the Northwest District. That's District 4 to be exact. District 4 is the district that it is in. It's also in District 2. So while the project is the majority of the project is in District 4, it is a citywide project because downtown is for everybody. It's not just for District 4. While District 4 are going to be affected more by the project, it is a citywide project, and the city as a whole is going to have a say-so in what happens over here with the project. So right now, actually at 7:00 today, Lotus Mindset will be having a community benefits workshop webinar online where we'll be going over what's on the table from the city with the community and the benefits that they are putting on the table of what is this project is going to do for them specifically and intentionally. So we're just going to workshop it, share it with everybody of what's on that table. And that is something that the community needs to be aware of, because then there's a meeting on April 30th, which is this Wednesday. And that's this Wednesday. So what they are meeting for on Wednesday is to codify the agreement. The master developer agreement is coming back with some amendments that was asked for by the commission. And those amendments are going to come back, and they're also going to be approving the financing of the project. So the money is going to take to develop it, and the commitment to the community and the city of what the amendments that have been asked for by the commission. So the community needs to get involved, because too many times I see how we look at things like we didn't know or something came up overnight. I personally have been following this project for over 10 years and studying development and CRAs and the word gentrification and how it happens and who it affects and what it is. And this isn't something that's coming overnight. And if the community doesn't speak up and get involved, then yeah, your voice isn't going to be heard. But there are people speaking for the community and speaking up for the community. So if you want your voice to be heard, you should attend these meetings and get involved.
Yeah, that's true. And the last time that we were at the
March 31st,
Pat Larkins Community Center, that was a heated exchange between the officials up there and the audience, the people, the residents that live around that area in that district, and they weren't happy. I guess some of them, part of the redevelopment is to redevelop the current Pat Larkins Community Center and make it up to date, and AI and all the technology and everything, and it was a beautiful presentation. I think I have some of the photos in my phone, but some people out there, they didn't seem like they wanted that new building to go up there, and they wanted to be okay with what's there.
And I also read an article in the Pelican about the people was concerned that the Larkins Center name, it wasn't etched in stone about the Larkins, former late Commissioner Pat Larkins' name actually being put back on the center. That was from the Pelican, a article. I believe it said that his widow also voiced those concerns too.
Right.
That I read in the Pelican.
Right. Well, anybody's concerns and fear that they have is valid to them. I'm not going to invalidate how people feel about the project, about Pat Larkins, about anything, because your feelings are valid and mine are too. But I've never been able to pay my bills with my feelings. And when we're talking about this project, we're talking about the economic opportunity. And what we have to talk about in the Black community is the fact by 2032, the Black community's value, wealth will be at zero. That is not a feeling. That's a fact, that if we don't do anything to increase our wealth and what we have, we will be at zero here in America by 2032. So our conversations need to be about financial literacy, economic opportunities. Where is the money? How do we tap into it? And not just money, currency. There's all forms of payment, and currency is something that we need to tap into. We need to understand AI. We need to understand decentralized financing. We need to understand how money and currency is being moved throughout the world. Because yes, development is happening here in Pompano, but development is happening everywhere.
Yes, it is.
Development is happening everywhere. And we are actually behind in the world, not just, the state or the county. We're behind in the world when we talk about how our children are going to be able to keep up and compete with what's happening in the world. And if we don't build it now and prepare them now, they are going to be behind again. And these types of projects address future generations and how they are going to navigate. This project isn't for me. This project is for my children and grandchildren. The projects that are built like this, they're 50-year master plans. Development moves in 50-year increments. So we're not talking about something that's coming up overnight and is going to take a year or two to build. We're talking about a methodical, strategic plan that's over years of acquisitions and land and zoning and code and legislation to implement a master plan. Now that master plan, regardless of how we feel about it, has moved forward after commissioners have left their seats, after mayors and commissioners have passed on. The master plan continues.
Right.
So we have to figure out, how do we align or get a master plan? If we don't have a master plan in communities like this, and I'm pretty sure Deerfield has a community similar to this community. Yes. If you don't have a master plan, what you are positioning the next generation for is to inherit poverty. That is the truth. Yeah. And I know we're talking about how people feel now. I've never heard anyone say that Pat Larkin's name wasn't going to go on a new building or stay on an old building. I've yet to hear that. But I understand why people think that, hey, something's going to go wrong. We're not going to get something, historically. If we look at what has happened to our communities, I 100% understand it, which is why I don't sit at a table to make people comfortable. We have to disrupt some things and say some things that need to be said. And part of being a liaison is telling the unfiltered truth to both sides so that they can come together and figure out how to make it work. But you're going to have to hold each other accountable. You cannot just say, hey, because we have this agreement, and expect people to do what they say they're going to do. No, you're going to have to hold some people accountable. You're going to have to do that. So I'm all for, people, expressing how they feel about the project. But after you tell me how you feel, tell me how you're going to make some money off this project. Tell me how it's going to put raise your household income. Tell me how it's going to increase your wealth and your equity in your home. Tell me that, because that is something that I know we can hang our hat on as increasing the household incomes. And we're not being gentrified out of our community. We're able to afford to stay in our community.
A lot of people down there, when you mentioned economic opportunity, a lot of people down there in Pompano, they didn't feel, as down here in Deerfield, they don't feel like there's any economic opportunity for them over there. So, and why is that? Why do you think people feel that way? I mean, people have jobs and they work hard, and if you have money, you have to invest your money, and there's opportunity there. I mean, economic opportunity. I mean, I look at it like this, Sarahca. I think a lot of, from what, just talking to people who I know down there, one of my best friends is Daryl Simpson. I used to work with him. He's my best friend. And he was telling me that a lot of people think that the concerns that he had, that not him, but a lot of the people he talked to had, was that once these new buildings go up, that will the people in that area be able to afford the rent or to even buy into the buildings over there? Will they be able to afford it? And I think that's the fears of a lot of people, and a lot, even up here. I think that's some of the fears. I think they got to come up with some plans that to address the fears of the people. Well, I'm sure they're going to have workforce housing there as well, correct?
Yes. It is going to, workforce housing is going to be a part of this project. And let's be real, everybody's trying to figure out how they're going to afford something.
Yes.
Affordability isn't a Pompano problem or a Deerfield problem. This is a worldwide problem, okay? Affordability in America right now is questionable for everybody. So this isn't something that issue that Pompano created because of this development. This is an issue that is happening across the nation as far as affordable housing and housing affordability. Actually, I attended a workshop that Broward County had, and they were talking about the term affordable housing. And when people hear affordable housing, people think the projects. When they hear affordable housing, they think that's what it is. And with that, is in District 4 alone. District 4, this is where the development is happening. There are 15 affordable housing complexes in Pompano. Pompano has the second most affordable housing units in the county. We're second to Fort Lauderdale. We're smaller than Fort Lauderdale, and we're second to them. 9 of the 15 that the city of Pompano have are in District 4 alone. So for all intensive purposes, District 4 is the projects, because we have 9 of them in our community. And when you learn about development and you learn the fact that grocery stores put their grocery stores in areas where the household incomes and medians are enough to be able to buy the groceries, which is why we have food deserts in our communities, because we have a high concentration of affordable housing. And the only way to increase the quality of life, increase the amenities, and increase what we have here is to mix the incomes. We either have to raise the household incomes of the people that we have here. That's going to require skills that they may not have, education that they may not have, and opportunities that they may not have. We have to have that in order to increase the household incomes for everyone that's currently education that they may not have, and opportunities but that they may not have. We have to have that in order to increase the household incomes for everyone.
Yeah, I'm hearing something from somewhere.
Yeah, I heard it too.
Someone out there.
Yeah, it's off now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No problem with all the things that we need. That's just for us to bring up our household incomes, us to bring up our wealth who are currently here. There's also going to be an influx of people who can afford these 500 and 700,000 homes that are being built here. The young professionals. I actually had a meeting just this past weekend with a young Black couple that just brought a home here in Pompano. So they're going to be here the next 30 years. They're 30, 31, 32 years old. They have a 4-month-old son. They moved here because she works in Deerfield and she wanted something closer. So they ended up in Pompano, but they're from Miami. So they moved from Miami, moved here. They're a young Black couple. They are the gentrifiers. They moved here because they can afford the houses market that we have right now, whereas the people who've been here the longest may not can afford it. That's what happens. That's what happens when we increase the quality of life. We make our streets better. We make things safer. The prices is going to go up. More people are going to move in because, hey, your area is starting to look nice. It's starting to look good.
Yeah,
people are going to move in.
So, I think that's what everybody wants, better quality of life. I mean,
who wants clean neighborhoods? You want clean neighborhoods.
People spraying up the block and everything. Yeah. I don't want to live like that.
No, we say that. Not our brothers. We say that to make each other feel good about us. But let's be real, that everybody don't want safer neighborhoods, because there are people who profit off of the conditions of the community staying the way they are.
Yes,
there are people who thrive in chaos. There are people who like the way things are right now, and that change bothers and affects their way of living. They don't want that. Okay, so if that's the case, then you're not talking to the same people. You're talking to two different people, and you're talking two different languages. So you're not going to be able to convince people who want things to stay the same, who don't want change, that change is good for them. Their mind is already made up over here. So my conversation with them isn't the same as my conversation with people who need to get educated about what's happening so they can prepare themselves and their families. Someone who doesn't want the project, there's no convincing them that it's going to be good for them. They've already made up their mind.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I know here in Deerfield, when you said the word affordable housing, that's like our ex-mayor Bill Gans. He always said he didn't like to use that word because and it was another word, it was another term that he used. I was sitting here trying to think of the term that he used, but he always has said he didn't like that because when people, like you said, when people hear that word affordable housing, they think of blight, they think of crime, they think of Black people living in substandard conditions, and you know, that's not what it is here.
It's what it is. That's not what they want it to be moving forward, but that is what it has been in previous years. Listen, I grew up in Parkway East Apartments, one way in, one way out. It's an Alamo. That was for all intents and purposes affordable housing. I know exactly what that was, right next to Ely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
G202 Parkway East Apartment. I will never forget that. So
me neither. I've been in there one time. So.
One time.
One time. That was it for me. But go ahead.
Yeah. So I grew up there. But I'm saying that because that was affordable housing.
Yes, it was.
That was affordable housing. So you think about what that was and what came out of that. Everybody didn't make it out. Everybody didn't make it out of that. And when I say everybody didn't make it out of there are people who are still walking, who still live that mentality of what it took to survive living in Parkway East Apartments. So when I say they didn't leave, some people didn't make it out, is because they still live in that mentality. Okay. Now, listen, affordable housing. I think when I went to when I was talking about the seminar I went to with Broward County, when they were talking about the housing crisis and that just Broward County was having, but overall it's a nationwide problem. And they were talking about making the term affordable housing, changing it to housing affordability, because when people hear affordable housing, they think the projects, but it's, it's what you know. Okay. And moving forward, affordable housing affordability, workforce housing, affordable to who is going to be the question, because what's affordable to a McDonald's worker isn't the same as what's affordable to a teacher. What's affordable to someone working at McDonald's isn't the same as what's affordable for a police officer. What's affordable for a police officer isn't the same for what's affordable for an engineer. What's affordable for an engineer isn't what's the same as affordable for a tech guy who owns multiple apps and got money coming in left and right. Like the level of affordability changed depending on who you're talking about. Okay, so everybody, I'm for everybody having a roof over their heads. I'm for that. I'm just looking at Pompano right now, and specifically District 4. Like I say, we have 9 affordable housing in this district. In this district, 9. So if we're going to talk about building affordable housing, there's other districts that can have affordable housing. District 1 doesn't have any. We can do some over there. We could do something. Matter of fact, it's some cities that don't have any affordable housing. The county could probably look at how to look at incentivizing other cities to put affordable housings in their municipalities, because Pompano has carried their load and share of what it is to provide affordable housing.
How much money will the city of Pompano be putting in on this $2 billion, or is this redevelopment? Or is this strictly developers, or will the city be putting in X amount of dollars? Is it through a grant? Do they have some grants coming from somewhere?
I know it's Roca Point, master developer. Am I correct? Phil Mays?
Yes. Phil Mays is the master developer, and he's just, we say master developer, but he just developer. He prefers just saying developer. But Roca Point is the developer for this project, and the city is putting in about $200 million. They're going to have to issue a bond they're going to have to ask the commission. They can't just go and say, hey, we're going to get a bond. They got to get votes to get this bond. And that's what May 14th is about. approving the financing tools and mechanisms that they've came up with in order to purchase or provide the funding for this project. So about 200 million is going to come from the city. On 1.8 million is going to come from the private sector in development.
Okay. And I'm sure it's going to be a lot of people, you know, tax to the watchdogs here in Deerfield and in Pompano and everywhere. They're not going to be too fond of that $2 million bond, $200 million bond that the city of Pompano is going to be asking.
No, the bond isn't the bond isn't 200 million. I think the bond is about 65 million. 65 but no, nobody is going to be overwhelmingly happy about paying this type of money. However, what I will say is that this project is overdue for a district that has been waiting a long time. So when people go to talking about how much it's going to cost and how much they're investing, understand that had the development happened 20 years ago, 15 years ago, you probably wouldn't pay that much. But this community has been put on the back burner for time and time again, as far as an opportunity for something to come in, an investment. It's a debt that's owed. Yes, they're going to have to take out debt, but this debt is owed to this community. So yes, if it's going to cost you now, it's because you haven't paid the debt that is owed for a long time now. So now here, the promissory note is calling due now. This community now needs this investment and needs this opportunity to lift itself up. And we're going to have to do, it's going to be a lot of heavy lifting. It's not something that, hey, we just going to throw money at it, because it's going to take action and intention. If money was going to solve everything, then we probably would have got it fixed when everybody was getting PPP loans. Nothing got fixed during that time. Okay. More problems came. Okay. We need to understand financial literacy and how money works and how the market is talking. There's a lot of things we need to be working on in the community on a grassroots level, so that we can not just create generational wealth, but build it and maintain it, because it doesn't become generational wealth until the third generation has it. We have people who are inheriting houses and land and property, but they're losing it in one generation. And it's because they don't have the financial literacy and the business acumen to be able to continue to keep it and pass it on to their children. So it's not generational to the third year. And we have to teach our children and ourselves how to be good stewards over whatever it is that we're getting.
And one question I wanted to ask too, is there any percentage of the vote, when the voters vote, that has to be passed? I know with the state, it's like a 60% threshold. Do y'all have a threshold down in Pompano you have to meet?
So this isn't like a general obligation bond. This isn't one of the bonds that have to go to the public. This bond is only going to be voted on by the commission. So the 5 commissioners and the mayor are going to vote. And if you've been following anything that's going on in Pompano in our commission, we have a stalemate of a commission. So we have a 3-3 split. So it has to pass. We need the majority, and the majority of 6 is 4. If you got a 3-3 split, it's
not going to go anywhere. It's going to be you're going to be at a standstill.
Yeah. Well, there is a clause in the agreement that calls for a referee to come in, and it's pretty much a referee is like a mediator. So that mediator, in the event that it happens, I hope it doesn't. I hope that the commission, which they're all smart people and they're all understand what's at stake here. And I do think at some point they're going to come together and figure out how to move this project forward for the community. That is my hope. But in the event that they don't, the agreement does have a clause in it that calls the referee to come in, who will act like a mediator and decide what is going to happen and what he says is legal and binding.
Yeah, I know we're going to have on our next election here in 2027 in Deerfield. We're they're going to be putting some on the ballot here for I believe a revised city hall, a new police department. Yeah, the redevelopment of.
So it's probably a
Pioneer
general
Grove.
obligation bond, like we did the GO bond, the general obligation bond. So we needed, I think we needed 60%. And I think they ended up getting like 69%. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that goes on, and that's gonna be
huge. Yeah,
it's gonna be huge here. I know a lot of people are against it, but if they want progress here, just like in Pompano, then a lot of people. One thing I noticed here in Deerfield, Sarahca, like people like me and you who've been in our city all our life and really haven't saw that many changes. We want to see change. It's a lot of people that just migrated to Deerfield probably within the last, I would say 20, maybe 15 to 20 years. They don't want it. They came here for that small time atmosphere, but we've been here all our life. So we see the minimal changes that's here. And that's where I think a lot of the disconnect come in
they
here.
They wanted to be this little sleepy little town that it's always been. And that's not, you have to have growth. If you don't have growth, then your city will be left behind.
Right.
You will be behind the 8 ball.
We have a lot of transplants here in Florida. There are not too many original Florida girls and Florida boys. I'm an original Florida girl, right? Born and raised here. So when I talk about Pompano, and I don't just do work in Pompano. I do work throughout the state. Okay, so I was born in Arcadia, Florida, but I was raised in Pompano, and Arcadia is going through the same thing that's happening here. I mean, you look at any community with a northwest of a railroad track, you're going to be facing the same thing that we are facing when it comes to redevelopment, because what you often may have in your community is vacant land, dilapidated buildings, and you have crime, you have slum, you have blight, and that's legislatively how money is moved to redevelop community. There is a federal mandate that says land must be developed. If you don't have a conservation easement on your property, then it's just sitting there. It's not producing any taxing, and land's just sitting is a enticement for crime. And it's an enticement for it. So we got to look at the things that cause our community, the quality of life and the appeal of our community to go down. Those things are our responsibility, to develop and to make better. I think we have everything we need as a people. Me personally, I think we have everything we need to build up a better community. We just don't talk to each other. We don't talk to each other. We're not engaging with each other in a way that we are using each other's expertise, the way that can help and move, advance. We have egos getting in the way. And sometimes it's not even about, I'm not even talking about elected officials. I'm talking about community people. I'm talking about us as a community can come together. You can get 10, if 10 of us get together and say, hey, let's put in $5,000. Let's go buy this piece of property and let's put a trust on it. Let's go ahead and get a holding company to protect it. Let's make sure that this land trust is in perpetuity so that our children profit off of these decisions that we make. We now have tied each other together to be successful. And we tied our children into it too, to where they're now trust fund babies. They're heirs to the work that we're doing. We could do that. That ain't got nothing to do with your elected officials. I'm talking about us. Me, you, your brother. We can do this in our own community. And all it takes is for us to talk to each other. But we're looking at each other as competition. And we're not looking at each other as collaborators. We collaborate over here.
Yeah. And that's what we talked about that offline too. Before we went online, how we don't stick together, and when one side is trying to do something and you're doing it for
competition,
fame,
like Sarahca said,
it's always the competition. We talk the loudest, but we don't put no action behind it. We complain all the time, but when it comes down to when the rubber has to hit the road, where are these people that's doing all these complaining? They're never around, you know.
Yeah.
And we have these same people here in Deerfield that's down in Pompano. They come to these meetings where they should be going there to try and educate themselves, but no, they're just coming there to disrupt the meeting and to change the minds of the people that's thinking about investing, and the people that's thinking about the economic opportunity. You have people here and there that comes to these meetings just for disruption, just to be disruptive.
Yeah. Well, you know, and there are agents of chaos in every city, so I don't pay them any attention because that is their role. Like, you're agent of chaos. Like, that's all you're going to do. I don't expect you to do anything other than create chaos. So that's fine. And some people thrive in chaos. Like, we got to like I said earlier, that, you know, there are people who profit and benefit off of our community staying the way they are. Okay. Those same people thrive in chaos. They thrive in it. So they need it to exist. They need it to have an identity. They need it to feel like they belong, you know, because if things start getting green and peaceful and safe, and now people are having community meetings and good gatherings and good food and making money, then why do we need chaos? Why do we need it? So where do you fit when you are like that? And then those people will figure themselves out. They'll figure out what they need to do. I want to make sure I'm speaking to the like-minded people that understand that, hey, I'm 42 years old. I have a 24-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 4-year-old. Okay. I got 3 generations that I got to think about. Okay. And that 4-year-old right now, he will see all of what I'm doing more than I would. He's going to benefit from it. My 18-year-old, my 24-year-old, they're going to get it too, but not like he is, because he's going to have to grow up in it. I'm going to have to teach him, you know, I'm going to have to make sure he has the opportunities. And that requires me to be in a position to speak for him, because he can't speak for himself.
Yeah. And you said something very interesting when I think down at the meeting in Pompano, and you said that you said your age, like you said just now, and you were saying your kids will get a chance to really benefit off of what you're trying to do right now, because even in I think you said, even in the paper, it said the downtown area would take 15 to 20 years, and you spoke about that, about, you know, making sacrifices now so that your kids can benefit. And you will be able to see it, as you were saying, you alluded to, but your kids will definitely be able to enjoy the fruits of the labor of what you're doing now. And one other thing that you gave me a good idea of, when you're documenting by camera, video, everything and how this process came about in the meetings. That was a very genius idea what you're doing, and you gave me, and I got a nice, trust me, I got a nice camera that I bought for documentaries, 4K camera, and I just really haven't really put it to work like I should, but that was a very genius idea that you did to document, so people in the future can see how this all came about. And I'm quite sure 10 or 15 years from now, you can put something on whatever is available at that time, whether it's streaming or something, how this all came about in a historical aspect for Pompano Beach.
You know, I've been filming I've been filming my journey and what I'm doing, but I also been filming what's been going on in Pompano for the past 8 years. Wow. So I have a lot of footage. And the reason I started to filming, it really was, you know, me, what I'm doing with my movement that I was doing throughout the state with Small Towns Need Poetry too. But I also started filming, you know, me attending community meetings, because some people who know me from poetry, know me in the poetry world or whatever, they don't necessarily know me for this type of work, but they all work together for me. So I had to show that in the documentary aspect of it. But I positioned this to the city to say, hey, listen, I hear so many stories about who Pat Larkins was and what he did and what he said. And, I had an archivist do some research on him to try to find some footage or video or something to hear, what his vision is and what he was saying. And there was nothing. There's just stories, and depending on who telling the story, you can be the hero or you could be the villain, right? So I said, you know what? I made sure that I started documenting what my perspective is when it comes to culture and development in my communities, because again, like you said, 10, 15 years this project is going to take to build. So if 10, 15 years it's going to take to build, then we need to know what decisions were made, how they were made, and hopefully this becomes a tool to teach people how to do it better, because there's we're in the last, here in Pompano, this project, the CRA rather, has been going on for 33 years, since 1989, 33 years, another 10, 15 years to develop. It's a 50-year plan, but then you have to think 50 years ahead of the profits of it. Okay. But that master plan, the Heartland area, like I say, I grew up in Arcadia, Florida. They have a CRA too, and their CRA is comprised of counties, not cities, counties. And their CRA plan, master plan, is called Heartland 2060. So by 2060, they have a plan of already what that area, what they want it to look like, what they want it to have. So if you're talking about a plan that's already put together and people are already working together, there's all these different departments, all these people moving to put together a plan of what the makeup of a city and a community and a county is going to look like, and you're not at the table, then you're on the menu.
And that, like I say, that was very brilliant of you to document this, because I mean, can you imagine, like you were saying, I remember even at the meeting you were saying, and I can still remember exactly how you were saying it. You were saying, people said, Mr. Larkin said this. Some people said that. It's just like you said earlier, it's according to who you talk to. With this way here, documenting everything, seeing how everything came into fruition, there will be no confusion of how this came about. And that's why I said you gave me a lot of ideas here in Deerfield to document everything moving forward. And it's just a matter of because I can't do everything. I'm still learning the cameras. We can
work together. Listen, we can work together. I have my, that's my love. I have a background in film as well, but we could do it together, because listen.
Well, you could teach me.
Yeah,
my brother.
No problem. This is the thing. Documentaries aren't scripted. You're just capturing what's there, which means you got to turn your camera on and you got to hear perspectives. And the thing is, it is our responsibility. The part that my community didn't get to hear is the part that everybody else in the city got to hear. And that is that it is my responsibility. It is our responsibility. But because my area on the wheel of economic opportunity is culture, it is my responsibility to protect, preserve, profit in perpetuity off of my culture. Black culture and my culture is highly profitable. Do you know how much money is moved through Black culture when it comes to marketing?
Billions.
Trillions.
Yep.
Trillions. And if we are now talking about a downtown project being in the heart of the Black community, I have to make sure Black culture is splattered through this project. I have to do that. That's my responsibility. I can't expect them to do that. They, first of all, not Black. How they gonna do it?
That's
okay.
Right.
I gotta do it, right? It's my responsibility. So, and then it's also my responsibility to document my history and to tell my story. I can't let other people tell my story.
Exactly.
So when you're talking about what's happening in Deerfield, that's your responsibility. That's your community's responsibility to ingrain the culture and preserve the history there. Documenting what's happening in your community is helping your community. And you have to do that, especially if you guys already see what's
we're
happening.
gonna do it. I can tell you right now. It's just been trying to like just navigate everything that we just like we do everything here. We have to do the everything, but that's cool. But as far as the camera work, I definitely will we'll talk about that because we have everything. It's just a matter of just putting everything together. And I definitely would, like you say, I wanna document everything here, like because we just had a meeting last Thursday of Central Corridor here in Deerfield, which encompasses Dixie Highway, all the way to 95, to the railroad tracks, basically to west to I-95, and no one's documenting this. So I know
they're not.
10 years from now, we say 10 years from now, someone will say, well, this commissioner said this, and it'll always be this person said this, that person said that. And I remember right before commissioner, I just got a lot of my camera working, and I had spoke with former late Commissioner Portier, and me and her was gonna sit down, and some more people were gonna sit down, and she was gonna detail everything out to me about from the beginning here. And she got sick. Unfortunately, she got sick, and I was coordinating with her daughter, but I was gonna put all of that footage together, and unfortunately, she died. And I wanted to have her words exactly on camera. So even now, Sarahca, it would not be, no one would be all over the place saying, well, Ms. Portier said this, Ms. Portier said that, because I was gonna, and I had my long line of questioning that I was gonna ask, and she had told me everything was on the table. So unfortunately, she got sick, and I was never able to get that footage. And if it's anything I regret not being able to get that. And that's historical footage from her.
That is 100% part of the historical preservation that Black communities must do. It is a mandate that we preserve our history and culture with our elders. So oratory history, filming, audio, pictures are good, but having that video and that audio is the undisputed fact that this is what this person said. This is their story. This is out of their mouth, and we have to do that. Our elders need us to do that. They need us to do it because they can't do it for themselves. So, and part of the CRA, I don't know if people know that part of CRA's responsibility is historic preservation. So getting the historical stories and landmarks and objects that we have in our community falls under the CRA's legislation of what they are supposed to be doing. So you're not far off from, making sure that when this project goes up in Deerfield, that you're aligned with what is happening, because you're just here to document. And the thing about documenting is, hey, people gonna tell their stories, say what they say, and history will tell the story. You're not doing anything other than turning the camera on and letting people show their true colors, because they do. They do.
And just like with you, with your camera people, I plan on doing that at the next meetings. I plan on bringing my equipment that I invested and my brother invested. I plan on bringing all of that out, and I don't even want to be. I'm just gonna, because people want you to be engaged too, but no, I want the historical facts to speak for themselves 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now. And
we're trying to get into all of that. We're trying to get into it. Once you capture all of this, you have to edit it. And that takes a lot of time, and from being in that's your background now, so we're just getting into that, you know, and I had already told Wayne.
Yes, he did. He told us
we got to get with Sarahca because Sarahca could,
Yeah.
we can learn from each other.
We felt that spirit and that energy
we're
from
not
you,
afraid to
Sarahca.
ask people for help, you know,
No.
and then people can call us and ask us anything. We'll be more than happy to help them. And I was like, man, we got to connect with Sarahca because Sarahca has so much knowledge and so, you know, just a vast wide variety of, I mean, not variety, but your knowledge is just extensive, you know.
Yes.
And we just always wanted to connect with you. And
we're gonna get that chance though. We're gonna do it. I'll tell you that right now.
We are. I would say that, like, I don't know a lot. Honestly, I know I got a good team. I got a great team, and I'm not the smartest person on my team.
We saw your team. Your team is very professional.
Yes.
How they move the room. They're very. We saw that. We peeped that just down at the Larkin Center.
My team is not, like, I'm not the smartest person on my team. I think, you know, the reason I'm speaking and people see me is because I have a platform and people are used to seeing me speak. But I'm not able to be as effective as I am and do the work I'm doing if my team isn't doing what they're doing. And we have a lot of work that we have been doing and a lot of work that we're doing. Like I said, at 7:00 tonight, we are doing the community benefits workshop. If you want to attend it, we can send you the link. If you go,
she just put it in the chat. Who was that?
Farah. I think Farah put it in there. Oh no,
Lotus Mindset.
Mindset. So Lotus Mindset, you guys go ahead and click it. You're going to learn about the community benefits. We're just workshopping it. We're just going to tell you all what are the community benefits that are on the table now.
Okay.
Negotiations.
And we're going to share it on our page too.
We will share that on our page too.
Benefits. And we want to make sure people know, like, hey, if you want things to be heard, you have some ideas, talk with your commissioners, call commissioners. And it's not just, again, I'll say this project is in District 4. Majority of the project is in District 4, but this is a citywide project. So the entire city is going to have a say-so on what's happening with this project. So we want to make sure our voice is heard, we have to speak up, because when you don't, silence is loud. I don't know if people realize that, but silence is loud. When you are not speaking, you are speaking.
Yep.
You are
one of our guests
saying something.
One of our guests, LaWanda Pack, said, "Preserve and protect." That is so true.
Preserve.
LaWanda.
We do 4 P's. We got preserve, protect, profit, in perpetuity. Because
our commissioner loved it. He loved it. He always
that perpetuity.
He loves it. He always says that word, perpetuity. So
because that's where generational wealth happens, in perpetuity. You know, and that's where the agreements need to be, in perpetuity. If they're not there, then they're subject to change. Like, we need some stuff in perpetuity, and our culture is in perpetuity because it's ours. And if we don't take ownership of it, if we don't start to protect it and preserve it, someone else is going to profit off of it in perpetuity.
Yes, they will.
Yes.
Any closing remarks that you'd like to tell the people here in Broward County?
We'll have you back. We definitely want you back to continue our conversations in the future.
Yeah,
absolutely. Listen, I want to make sure everyone knows, again, we have a community benefits workshop, Lotus Mindset. We will workshop the community benefits. It's a webinar. You don't have to leave your house. You don't have to even put down your phone. You could just log on. It's going to be on Zoom. We're just workshopping it. And then we're going to make sure you know where to go to address any of your issues, your concerns, or any good ideas that you have, where you can go to take that information. Also, April 30th is the meeting to codify whatever agreements or amendments that have come out of the last few months of negotiations. So April 30th, come to that meeting.
Is that at the Larkin Center?
That is at the City Hall, Pompano Beach City Hall Commission Chambers. Okay. And then May 14th is the date that the vote is either going to be yay or nay or split. So May
Stay
14th,
tuned.
make sure you all come out, speak up, talk about the project. Again, you got to see the opportunity in it. And I'm not here to persuade people one way or the other. I'm here to make sure you know the information is out here.
Exactly.
The opportunity is out here. The doors are open of communication. If it's someone you want to talk to and it's not me, promise you, I will open the door and make the call to get you connected to the person you want to talk to. I am not a gatekeeper. I'm a bridge. So use me to get to whoever you want to talk to, because I promise you, this train is leaving the station.
That's
and
right.
One thing about Brightline, it only stops on 1 or 2 occasions. And when it gets to its stop, or after it ran you over.
That's
So-
why.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Well
After
said.
it ran you over, right?
After it done ran you over, and then after it ran you over, it get back to going and run back over that same spot you was laying on. I'm just letting people know.
Yeah.
This is
So
this
we're
is
going to
the
be
opportunity.
watching. We're going to be
we'll
watching
be
on
watching.
April 30th and May 14th.
The vote is on May the 14th.
Yeah, but April
The vote
30th
is
is
on May
the
14th.
City Hall.
And at Pompano City Hall.
Yeah, the
Yes,
results
both
and
of
then
them
the
are
vote.
at City Hall. Both of them
Yeah.
are at City Hall. So April
Yep.
30th is to codify the amendments to the master developer agreement, and May 14th is the vote to either proceed or not.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Pompano Beach.
Keep up
Do
the
your
good work.
thing,
Keep
Pompano
up the
Beach.
good work down there in Pompano, man. We love what you're doing down there in Pompano. Obviously, man, we love having you on our podcast, man.
Yes,
and we're
we
gonna
do.
connect, and we're
We're gonna connect.
we're gonna link up and do some good things here in Broward County and South Florida here. So Sarahca Peterson, thank you for joining us here, and you're always welcome back on our podcast.
Anytime. You got our number. Just call us.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank
All
Have
you.
a good one.
We've been talking to Sarahca Peterson, Pompano Beach community activist. You guys stay tuned. We got Tony Get Sensational Sands coming up next at 6, a little bit after 6, about 6:15.
Yeah.
We're gonna end this podcast, and then we'll be
We're
back
gonna be
with
talking
Tony.
some football.
We're gonna be talking football with Shador Sanders and the NFL
Shannon
and buck
Sharp.
breaking.
Yeah, we're going to be talking Shador Sanders and some of the stuff that the lawsuits against Shannon Sharp. So y'all stay with us on the Adams Brothers podcast. We'll see you here in about 8 or 9 minutes, 8 minutes, 7 minutes.
See you soon, good everybody.